1, 2, 3, 4.
On a radio station in Los Angeles, this was in 1951, when I was going to college east of LA, and there was a small station that had only a 2-hour program in the afternoon called Harlem Matinee that featured black music.
Hello, Central.
They started playing these kind of down-home blues, but that was something entirely new. There were no all-black stations at that time.
Please give me 209.
I suddenly fell in love with all these blues. I mean, I heard Fats Domino, Sonny Boy Williamson, Muddy Waters, along with all kinds of others. But to me, Lightnin Hopkins was just this unique voice. I just became a real fan of his music.
Will you please give poor Lightnin 209?
And he was just backing himself on his guitar, which was just so perfectly fitting his voice.
Yeah, you know, I want to talk to my little baby. She's so far down the line.
Over the years, I've continued to think he's probably the greatest Texas blues artist ever. After I got out of the Army, I think it was in '56, I met Sam Charters, who was writing the first book on blues called The Country Blues. And I listened to some of the stuff he had, like Blind Lemon, and I played him my Lightnin Hopkins records, and he became very interested in it. And in 1959, I got a postcard from Sam Charters saying, "I found Lightnin Hopkins. He lives in Houston, Texas."
Sam Lightnin Hopkins was born and raised in the Centerville area of Texas. He grew up in a farming environment, doing field work when he was very young, especially since his father died when he was young. He had worked as a sharecropper, so he would play music as well as work in the fields. And that kind of labor was very common in Eastern Texas. And a lot of Black East Texans would have done that same kind of work. So Centerville and that area was very important to how he developed as a blues musician. And the sounds of East Texas blues especially were very influential to him. Sam Hopkins first started going to the city of Houston as an itinerant musician. Because Houston had this large and growing Black population, the economy of Houston between World War I and World War II started to develop and diversify. You had Black men, Black women coming into Houston because of job opportunities. So the Ship Channel in Houston hired Black men, the Southern Pacific Railroad, and with those jobs and those wages meant that people had more money to spend on entertainment. So in a place like Houston, Hopkins could find paying audiences for his music. Later, Hopkins permanently moves to Houston, and he settles in 3rd Ward, along what used to be called Dowling Avenue. If you would have been in 3rd Ward in the 30s and 40s especially, you may have seen Sam Hopkins sitting on the corner playing the blues. So it's really in 3rd Ward and on the corner of Dowling, which is now called Emancipation, that you see Lightnin Hopkins really begin to become a Houston blues man.
I just wanted to meet this man named Lightnin Hopkins. I was just a total, I don't know what else to call it, a fan. I took a bus to Houston, and Sam had sent me on that postcard the name of Mac McCormick, who was trying to be Lightnin's agent at that time. And Mac McCormick was fortunately one of the most knowledgeable people about the Texas music world, the sort of the underground world. I mean, he knew where the Zydeco was starting and all that sort of thing. And so we went to this little tiny beer joint. He was playing his ferocious electric guitar, was just a drummer backing him. But he was rhyming it all up, and all of a sudden he pointed at me, "Whoa, man, this man come all the way from California just to hear poor Lightnin sing." He just had a terribly, unbelievably appealing sound. He was entertaining that way because he knew how to present his stuff, you know. He seemed to enjoy all of it. I mean, it was really quite extraordinary.
From Houston, Texas, the blues man, Lightnin Hopkins.
I opened a music club in Houston called the Old Quarter in 1965 with my partner, Dale Sofar. It became very popular, and it led to me meeting and playing with a lot of musicians, Townes Van Zandt and Lightnin Hopkins being the number one and number two people. I played with them my whole life. It was an unbelievable time. It was right before Lightnin was really popular with the white audiences, but he still had a big black following. And Lightnin used to say, I don't really need to practice that much, and which is really true. I guess he was so damn good. We'd practice about 3 songs and then we'd watch the Astros and drink 4 beer. And somehow in that time period, he made a transition into larger, much larger venues. And it was great to be along for that beautiful musical ride. One of the things that set Lightnin apart from everyone was the fact that he was a storyteller. He talked to the audiences.
Right now, I believe everything would be all right if we all get our minds together. We got to think about exactly what's about to happen. It's not exactly the blues right now, but it's a little song about come on, baby, and go home with me. It's not so bad.
He was so good at it, and it always led up to the song. At Carnegie Hall, he was the only one who talked to the audiences. He wasn't fancy. He didn't need a lot of audio enhancements. He just picked up his guitar and put his amp on full volume and full treble and started playing.
I met my grandfather, Lightnin Hopkins, for the first time when I was about 19 years old. He and my grandmother married in 28. My mom was 4 years old when he left Centerville. He just wasn't around a lot of people until he was actually performing. So I think that he stayed in Houston because the people that he knew and associated with until he got ready to go on the road was who he felt comfortable with. He never sang one song the same way all the time. And what I understood from those that played with him, you had to go along with him because it was not like you practiced and this is how it was going to be. My relationship with him after we met became very close. It wasn't a week past that I didn't go see him when he was in town. Each Juneteenth, we went to Herman Park and saw him perform. He was good. I would be so proud. I didn't realize until after his death how important his blues method was to everyone. People that contacted me at the time of the Grammys gave me information about him and why he was receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. I would like for people to remember him as the great artist that he was. And when I accepted it, I said, there is none other like him. He was unique, and there are people that can play the blues, but they can't play it like Lightnin.
He was just this incredible genius who was born into a society at a time and a place which will never occur again. I'm glad I caught it, but I thought it would be around a while. But especially with African American music, it changes so quickly. This is vernacular music. That is the nature of it. You can't write it down. Just enjoy it if you can when it's happening and when you hear it.